Aisha Rahman never imagined her quiet marriage would push her into a 10-day plan that destroyed her husband Imran and his mother Shabana from the inside out. Imran and Shabana thought they could betray Aisha Rahman in secret, until the woman they underestimated turned their world into a silent battlefield. Aisha Rahman uncovered the truth about Imran and Shabana, and what followed was a calculated 10-day downfall no one saw coming. Shabana believed she could control Aisha Rahman, until Aisha exposed every lie and shattered both mother and son in just 10 days. Imran never feared consequences, until Aisha Rahman uncovered his hidden life and dismantled everything he valued, step by step. Aisha Rahman walked calmly through her home for 10 days while Imran and Shabana's lives collapsed around them, and no one knew she was behind it. Shabana and Imran betrayed Aisha Rahman in silence, but her revenge arrived louder than either of them ever expected. Imran thought his affair was untraceable, and Shabana believed her schemes were flawless, but Aisha Rahman proved both wrong in the most brutal way. Aisha Rahman discovered one secret, and in just 10 days, Imran and Shabana lost everything they once used to control her. Imran and Shabana didn't see the danger standing right in front of them, Aisha Rahman, the woman about to engineer their downfall. Aisha Rahman lived in a quiet neighborhood where everyone believed she had a peaceful and comfortable life. Her home looked perfect from the outside, with a neat garden, warm lights, and a soft calmness that made people think she had everything under control. But behind the closed doors, Aisha felt a constant heaviness that she could never explain to anyone. She had married Imran 3 years earlier, hoping for a life filled with trust and companionship. In the beginning, everything looked normal. Imran treated her kindly, and his mother, Shabana, welcomed her in a way that made Aisha believe she had found a second family. Over time, small signs of change began to appear, so subtle that Aisha often blamed herself for imagining them. It started with Imran's late nights, which he excused with work pressure. Aisha tried to believe him, even though she noticed the way he guarded his phone and changed passwords frequently. His behavior slowly shifted from warm to distant, leaving her confused and insecure. Shabana, once supportive, became unusually controlling. She questioned Aisha's decisions, criticized her efforts, and interfered in every part of her life. The sudden shift in their attitudes made Aisha feel like a stranger in her own home. She often found Shabana whispering with Imran behind closed doors, conversations that stopped the moment Aisha entered the room. The tension grew silently. Aisha's intuition kept warning her that something deeper was happening, something hidden beneath ordinary excuses. She spent nights awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was losing her mind or if her marriage was falling apart without her noticing the exact moment it began. She tried holding on, hoping the changes were temporary. But inside her heart, she sensed that the perfect life everyone envied was slowly slipping away. Each day felt heavier, as if a storm was preparing to break, and Aisha stood at its center without knowing what was coming. Aisha's world changed on an afternoon that began like any other. She was cleaning the study room, sorting old files and reorganizing shelves, trying to distract herself from the uneasy feeling that had been growing inside her for months. While clearing the drawer of Imran's old laptop, she found a small USB drive that she had never seen before. She assumed it contained work documents, but curiosity pushed her to plug it in. The screen filled with folders labeled in a way that seemed harmless, yet one folder contained a backup of Imran's hidden phone account. Aisha felt her hands tremble as she clicked on it, unaware that her life was about to split into 2 parts, before and after that moment. Inside were hundreds of messages, photos, and call logs that revealed Imran's secret life. He had been in an ongoing relationship with a younger woman named Maryam, a relationship far more serious than a casual affair. There were planned trips, gifts, and even promises that made Aisha feel as if the air around her had turned heavy. Each message was a piece of a puzzle she never wanted to see. What hurt even more were the messages involving Shabana. Her mother-in-law had known everything from the beginning. Instead of protecting Aisha's dignity, she had encouraged the affair and helped Imran hide it, hoping that Maryam's wealthy background would eventually benefit the family. Aisha read everything slowly, her heart sinking with each revelation. The betrayal came at her from two directions: her husband, whom she trusted blindly, and her mother-in-law, whom she respected deeply. The emotional pain was sharp, but beneath it, something else began to rise. It was a quiet, steady anger. The truth had finally surfaced, and although it shattered her, it also cleared her vision. The confusion that once clouded her thoughts disappeared. She now understood every strange behavior, every excuse, and every cold moment she had endured. What she did not know yet was how deeply this discovery. Aisha spent the night after her discovery in complete silence, sitting alone at the edge of her bed while the house lay in darkness. The shock slowly faded, replaced by a cold clarity she had never felt before. For years, she had endured manipulation, lies, and emotional neglect without fully understanding the depth of the betrayal. Now that everything was exposed, she realized she was standing at a crossroads. She could walk away quietly, or she could reclaim the power that had been taken from her piece by piece. The decision formed naturally. She would not confront them, shout, or beg for explanations. She would plan. Her mind shifted into a state of sharp observation. She analyzed Imran's routine, from the time he left for work to the moments he checked his phone. She noticed when Shabana left the house, who she spoke to, and how she managed the family's finances. Aisha had lived in the same home for years, but for the first time she studied it like an outsider gathering information, noting every weakness and pattern. She understood that her revenge had to be slow and controlled, unfolding over several days so that nothing pointed back to her. She wanted them to feel the same helplessness she had felt, but without ever realizing she was the one behind it. A notebook hidden inside her wardrobe soon became her planning space. She divided her ideas into steps, small actions that would create tension, confusion, and mistrust between Imran and Shabana. She made sure each move would look accidental or unrelated. She listed the contacts who mattered to Imran's business, the documents he relied on, and the small secrets Shabana kept buried from others. Every detail was considered carefully, like pieces of a quiet puzzle forming into a larger design. By dawn, Aisha had created the outline of a 10-day plan. It wasn't fueled by rage but by a steady sense of purpose. She felt a calmness she hadn't felt in months, as if she had finally taken control of a story that had lawn. Aisha began the first phase of her plan with careful patience. She knew Imran relied heavily on routine, and disrupting it subtly would unsettle him without raising suspicion. On the first morning, she adjusted the settings on his alarm so it rang 15 minutes late. Imran rushed through his preparations, irritated and flustered, unaware that this small delay would trigger a series of missed meetings and unanswered calls. Aisha watched quietly, taking mental notes of how easily a tiny shift affected his entire day. Over the next 2 days, she created a sequence of disruptions that appeared coincidental. She moved key documents from his business folder to an old storage box in the attic, a place he never searched. When he attempted to finalize an important deal, he couldn't find the papers he needed. Aisha also tampered with his email filters so that messages from clients landed in the spam folder. Important updates went unread, leaving him confused when clients complained about unreturned messages. Each inconvenience increased his frustration, slowly draining the confidence he once carried so effortlessly. Aisha also observed how he reacted under pressure. The calmer she acted, the more irritated he became. His mind, already burdened with the stress of maintaining an affair, now struggled to manage sudden obstacles. His calls grew tense, his expressions hardened, and his once smooth business interactions turned awkward. Aisha maintained her silence, appearing supportive on the surface while carefully continuing her hidden actions. By the third day, Imran's professional image had begun to slip. Business partners questioned his reliability, and employees sensed his growing instability. He blamed everything on bad luck and technical issues, never suspecting that someone inside his own home was behind the disruptions. Aisha felt no guilt. Each setback he faced was a reflection of the pain he had caused her. She continued with her plan, knowing these early cracks. Aisha shifted her attention toward Shabana once Imran's confidence began to weaken. She understood that the bond between mother and son had always been strong, built on shared secrets and a mutual desire to control the household. To dismantle them, she needed to create distrust from within. Her approach was subtle and executed in small steps. She began by placing and signed notes in places Shabana frequently checked, inside her dresser drawer, between recipe books, and beneath her prayer mat. Each note contained small hints that Imran was hiding money or planning decisions without involving her. The messages were carefully written to sound like overheard gossip, not accusations. Soon after, Aisha altered some financial documents. She moved certain utility receipts and rearranged bank statements so that it appeared Imran had withdrawn small amounts without informing his mother. Shabana, who closely monitored every financial detail, noticed the changes immediately. Her suspicions grew as she repeatedly found inconsistencies that she could not explain. Aisha intensified the tension by leaving Imran's business cards scattered with unknown phone numbers scribbled on them. She knew Shabana would connect these details to the possibility of another woman or a secret plan. The misunderstandings grew quickly. Shabana confronted Imran in her usual harsh tone, and he denied everything with equal frustration. Neither of them realized that Aisha had orchestrated every piece of confusion. Their arguments increased in frequency, and their once aligned opinions now clashed over the smallest issues. Aisha ensured she was always nearby but silent, pretending to be caught in the middle while carefully watching the cracks widen. By the seventh day, the household atmosphere had changed completely. Shabana's trust in her son had weakened, and Imran saw his mother's constant accusations as unnecessary interference. They no longer whispered behind closed doors. Aisha entered the later phase of her plan with steady confidence. The trust between Imran and Shabana was already damaged, but she wanted the consequences to move beyond emotional tension. She knew their strongest vulnerability was their financial stability. Everything they valued, status, reputation, and social respect, was tied to money. Aisha decided to target this foundation quietly and methodically. She began by accessing the secondary accounts linked to the household, accounts she had never touched before. With careful timing, she transferred small but noticeable amounts to a temporary holding account under a different name. The transactions were spaced evenly so they appeared like regular withdrawals, yet the totals were large enough to cause alarm once noticed. She then contacted Imran's business partners anonymously, sending them files containing selective information from his hidden messages. These details exposed unprofessional behavior, missed commitments, and questionable financial practices. She ensured the information was accurate enough to seem credible but incomplete enough to raise suspicion rather than provide clarity. Within a day, Imran received multiple inquiries from partners demanding explanations. His credibility, already shaken by recent disruptions, began to crumble quickly. Shabana was not spared. Aisha retrieved old debt notices that Shabana had kept hidden in a locked drawer. These were debts Shabana believed no one knew about. Aisha placed them inside envelopes and submitted them to the local financial office using Shabana's name. The officials soon contacted her for unpaid amounts, causing immediate panic. Shabana tried to keep the situation secret, but Aisha made sure Imran discovered the letters by placing them on the dining table before he returned home. The shock deepened their mistrust as each blamed the other for carelessness and dishonesty. On the 10th day, Aisha prepared for the final phase of her plan with a steady calmness that surprised even her. She had watched Imran and Shabana crumble under pressure, emotionally, financially, and socially. Their relationship, once strong enough to stand against her, was now fractured beyond repair. But her plan was not finished. She wanted their downfall to be absolute, leaving no room for recovery or denial. Every detail had to unfold smoothly, without leaving any trace that pointed back to her. The final blow needed to be powerful, public, and irreversible. Aisha gathered the evidence she had collected over the years, financial inconsistencies, inappropriate business dealings, and documents proving Imran's involvement in activities that violated regulations. She also included anonymous screenshots of his affair, careful not to expose herself as the source. She compiled everything into a single folder and sent it to the authorities under a fabricated identity. The email was written in a neutral tone, presenting the information as a concerned citizen's report. Within hours, the investigation process had begun. The timing worked perfectly. Officers arrived at the house shortly after noon, when Imran was already frustrated by recent business losses and Shabana was overwhelmed by debt notices. The questioning left Imran visibly shaken, unable to defend himself against the sudden accusations. His partners, already suspicious, distanced themselves quickly. Aisha watched quietly as Imran's professional world collapsed. The confident man who once controlled every decision now looked powerless, cornered by information he did not know how to counter. Shabana faced humiliation as her role in concealing certain financial activities became apparent. The same reputation she used to criticize Aisha now worked against her, as neighbors whispered and judged her involvement. The other woman Imran had been seeing learned of the chaos and severed all ties immediately, realizing. With the storm finally behind her, Aisha moved through the quiet rooms of the house as if walking through the remains of a life she had long outgrown. The chaos she had orchestrated had ended, and the home that once drowned her in doubt and fear now felt strangely hollow. Imran was consumed by legal troubles, unable to restore his business relationships or clear his name. Shabana spent her days hiding from neighbors, weighed down by humiliation and the realization that she had contributed to her own downfall. Their collapse had unfolded so completely that neither had the strength to question how everything had gone wrong so quickly. Aisha's presence in the house became almost invisible to them, as if she were a shadow passing through their ruined world. She stayed calm and measured, giving no sign that she had been the architect behind the destruction. The community viewed her as a victim, a woman who had endured betrayal, public scandal, and the breakdown of a marriage. They sympathized with her silence and admired her strength. Aisha accepted their kindness with a gentle smile, never revealing the truth behind her composed exterior. She had survived years of deception, control, and hidden cruelty, and now she watched, almost quietly, as those who had wronged her struggled to face the consequences of their own actions. Days later, Aisha made a decision she had been preparing for. She packed a small suitcase, taking only what belonged to her and leaving behind anything tied to the painful memories she no longer wished to carry. She walked out of the gate without looking back, moving toward a future she had built through her own resilience. There were no dramatic farewells, no explanations, and no guilt. Her departure was as silent as the plan she had executed, a final act of freedom.